I finga un down, di non catan di lavoro, so che mi tocca tutto cagare.
Welcome, I'm Chris Langley, and we're going to be talking about Eye on Inyo filming and what it entails here in Inyo County. And I have two of my very favorite director filmish people is what I call them. We have Carl Flood and then Laura Flood. They got married during one of my interactions with you guys, so that's kind of exciting. And they're here filming with a lot of adversity. But I also played an angel in one of his films, and I just knew that was stereotypical casting.
It was meant to be.
I think it was I had a beard, actually. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about a project he and Laura are working on now, and all his experiences of trying to get her off the ground. It's been a little bit of a challenge, but not the movie, but what is that? The environment, I guess we would call it.
Logistics and environment.
Yeah. So anyway, it's called Sheriff Johnson, and that's interesting about it, how it's going to be used. Anyway, hi.
Hi.
We finally get off and running.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
It's good. Okay, so why don't you just talk a little bit about the movie, and then we'll go on. We have a whole list of things we want to hit. So what is the movie about? It's a Western.
It's a Western.
So you came to the right place.
Yeah.
I definitely came to the right place, the Alabama Hills.
Yeah.
So it's a Western that was inspired by my grandpa's bout with Alzheimer's.
So it's sort of a personal, you have a personal relationship with this
relationship in many aspects, but I guess the birth of the film came from A, wanting to make a Western, but B, trying to figure out how to make a Western. At the same time, my grandpa was going through sort of the middle stages of Alzheimer's, and I kind of put two and two together and thought about, these big, respectful, powerful men of the West, these sheriffs, tall, dominating figures, and that's how I felt about my grandpa. And I started putting pencil and paper, and I came up with a sheriff in the Old West who's going through the stages of Alzheimer's, which back then would be dementia, it wouldn't be really Alzheimer's. I just want to explore those aspects of his process to the eyes of the West.
Yeah, I remember reading the script before really we had gotten much down the road, and I thought this is going to be a hard script to film. Just it was so internal in some ways and stuff, and it turned out pretty well, that part of the film that's already been filmed. So
well, thank you. The that film was the third film. What this is, Sheriff Johnson, is Umbrella. It's a 3-film anthology. The first film, The Last Request of Sheriff Johnson, has a story that goes into it's kind of told to the granddaughter's eyes, seeing her grandpa sort of slip up, his first stages of Alzheimer's, his memory lapses, kind of seeing him be in the world where he was doing his job, but at the same time, he's doing his job, but he's slipping up, and his girl's the one that really takes notice. The middle film for that anthology is called Sheriff Johnson. Is the film we're filming this weekend, actually, in Lone Pine. That covers the middle stage of Alzheimer's, and it focuses on sort of how it's focused at Christmas, all the families together, and it really focuses on how the environment with a family changes a little bit when you have someone in that situation. Kind of all eyes are always drawn to. We're always drawn to my grandpa. You're in the room, but your peripheral is always like, what's going on with grandpa? Like his middle stages, his repetitive storytelling, his memory lapses, his name forgetting. So this film focuses on for the family environment, at the same time, the focus of how his wife and daughter-in-law, the focus shifts for them, becomes full-time caretaker mode. The film you worked on, it was called The Unspoken Batch, was the third film in the anthology. So I shot the films out of order. I shot the first film in 2013. 4 or 5 years later, I shot The Unspoken Badge, which was the last film in the anthology. And now, literally 10 years later, we're shooting the middle film, which is focused on the caretaking aspect. The Unspoken Batch, going back to that you were in, that focused on the.
That's where I launched my career.
But that's where it was basically, well, story is told from the point of view of our lead character's name is Walter, the sheriff. He's in his last moments of life, last breath, but his visuals of the family that's surrounding his bedside, by his side, but in his mind, he does not know who the family is.
So was there any reason for doing them out of order? Is that why that you did it, or did it just happen that way? I mean, was there a plan, or?
Well, there's always a plan to shoot all three short stories, 3 different short stories, but I didn't have the whole story all at once. So I'm very happy it didn't work out like that, because don't tell what I would have came up with 10 years ago. It evolved through, I guess, time to, what's the word, when you think about something a lot, it kind of hits you and sits with you for a long time. And it's like a natural realization, oh, there's this moment in time that I'm thinking back to, and this is the story I want to tell. This makes sense for the Unspoken Badge because I'm thinking back to this moment, as opposed to sitting down and writing all 3 at once.
So when they are finally finished, will they be separate movies, put like an anthology, use the word anthology, or will they be edited for all 3 of them to run one after the other?
It'll be a feature film. So they'll go from one series to the next series, all the same.
Is that going to be hard to match? And they'll do it. You can do.
No, we screened the first film, The Last Request of Sheriff Johnson, and we screened the third film, The Unspoken Badge, back to back. We had a super great response, and it blends together really well, but it was really missing the middle piece, the in between, the beginning stages and the end stages.
That's kind of unusual, I would think, in making films, probably. But well, I would expect you to do something interesting. So,
well, I mean, it wasn't planned to do their film first, but it's sort of the thought progression. Like I say, when stuff resonates in your mind, and you find that moment in time that really hits you, you're like, oh, that really strikes the chord with me emotionally, and I feel like that really tells a story, just that one moment of the end time for someone with all 5 risen. So I immediately started writing that movie, and I didn't think about the middle movie. But with the response from festivals for this The Unspoken Badge, then I said, well, I need to make the middle movie. I sat down and wrote the middle movie, and but like I say, had I written it all at once, I wouldn't have had the same movie. So I'm really happy to have.
You talk like a writer, director, artist. I mean, that's a complicated explanation, but it's really good.
Oh, well,
I get it. Okay, so you came to Lone Pine. I remember that when I met you, and you met Manuel Ruiz, who's been working with you through 2 of these, or will be working with you on 2 of these. How were you introduced to the Alabama Hills? It says that right there on my list.
Oh, well, that's the stuff to talk about?
Yeah.
Well, Bud Bedecker, that's the 2 words. You know, my biggest influence are John Ford and Bud Bedecker. Bud Bedecker more specifically for the Alabama Hills because...
And Bud Bedecker is a pretty famous Western director and character. I mean, he had a very strong personality, came to the film festival.
I picture him as like a Howard Hawks type. He's just manly and big and bold.
Yeah. Did bullfighting and all kinds of stuff.
But
have you been ever fighting a bull?
I don't think we could even watch that. We'd be sad watching a bullfight. So, but okay. But how I was introduced to the Hills was I was watching this little video of Martin Scorsese, and he talked about the Tall Fee, Bud Bedecker film, and he showed a clip from it. I was like, wow, it's beautiful. Like, I need to watch that. So what that introduced me to was just really the magic that inspired me to like say, hey, I want to make Western movies the rest of my life. Because Bud Bedecker took a script, he turned these beautiful, beautiful rocks in the Alabama Hills into like a mythical setting. And not only that, it's he made it so simple. That's really what stands out, is how simple his movies are. 2 characters in these rocks. And then we go there, and the rocks are just absolutely stunning and beautiful. The colors change all throughout the day, the times of day. They have like a mind of their own. And it was always a dream of mine to shoot there. And I came up here to shoot, but then I was just a lost puppy trying to go over all these rocks. Like, where do I shoot? How to go about it? But it took many phone calls that I got to your name. So I was just some guy you didn't know. So you took a chance and you met me and by then we had just been dating for a while.
Yeah.
But
we were dating, yeah.
Young couple.
Yeah.
But we went to the film museum. You had Manuel Ruiz with you,
Uh-huh.
just a young screenwriter. And you've really embraced embraced my story. You embraced what I was going to do. You took me out to the Alabama Hills. You showed us all around, talked about the history, and what really caught me was you really believed in me. I felt like you really gave me inspiration.
You presented as a very serious filmmaker, but you were light-spirited and stuff. So I don't always get that. When I was the film commissioner, so it was really good. But we also really favor those movies. There's 4 of them that were Bedecker and written by, I'm blanking on his name. Burt Kennedy.
Come on, who'd you have that?
Oh, he's perfect. And we have 3 of those 4 scripts that Burt Kennedy left to us. So there's been a special relationship with Bedecker and them, and they actually came together to one of our film festivals. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him because I was in Japan at the time. It's the only time I missed the film festival. But those are really wonderful movies, and the 4 of them play together in a very, it almost feels like something that they have something to do with each other.
It's like John Ford has Monument Valley, stunningly beautiful in his movies. It's a dream of mine to go there. But the Hills is like it's our happy place. We love to come out here, and Lowtown is just a tiny, tiny town, but we could sit there for days. We don't have to do anything. We just go to the hills, sit in the rocks, stay at the Dalville Motel, which is our favorite hotel. So much history in the hotel. The little Lone Pine just feels like it's a town full of history, just like washing over you.
Yeah.
And like, thanks to you and Manny, I can't go back enough to.
I remember that first day. It was really a very special day. Yeah, it was really good. Let's switch gears a little bit. So I had a part in one of the anthology films, and I was guiding the main character, who was my son, into heaven, basically. And I never knew heaven was right by the Owens Lake, and it was made out of wooden. The gates to heaven were this wooden rail, and that was built by Dusty Bamberg, who is one of the locals that you employed. So anyway, the way you directed me was very helpful. The first time I was, it was broken up into shots. I was flown out. The next day, almost became an angel because I was really sick. And about a year later, we refilmed that, and we did it as one shot. And I remember you directing me. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you direct, particularly how you directed me, but I assume everybody.
Well, what the last shot is my film is Walter, basically, our lead character, is basically taking his walk to heaven. He's walking through an open field, goes through a gate. He's reintroduced to his mother and father. And it's a very long scene. It's about, I don't remember, 3 or 4 minutes. But the first time
felt like about an hour.
Yeah. But the first time I shot it all of it, I really didn't have a solid plan. I was intimidated by the scene because it's such a special emotional scene, and I was kind of intimidated by it. So, things happen for a reason. So the footage didn't work out. So we came back. We had a Steadicam operator, and we shot the whole thing in one take. By that I mean on the film it's one take. It's about a 3 or 4 minute take, a walk, actions, everything has to happen. So many elements had to happen for that to work out. But we did it 6 times, I think. And the last take we were very fortunate. The last take made it. And the way I directed you is, what I do is, a lot of scenes that I work with is I break it down into sort of like action beats as opposed to actor beats. Yeah, actor beats to action beats. I take the action beats and break it up to where, like, okay, just to help ease the mind of people. Say, okay, so you're going from point A to point B. That's beat 1. Beat 2 is you're opening the gate. You're coming out of the gate. You're leading the horse. Beat 3, you're with your son. It's hello. You haven't seen him forever. On and on. So you just really break up the beats. For the actor, sometimes you don't tell the actors that, but for the script supervisor or for myself, I know, okay, we got past the first beat. Okay, we got past the second beat. We didn't make the third beat. Now we got to go back and let's talk about the third beat, the action beat. And then what I do is I set up a metronome. It's my mom's metronome from when she was a kid. And so I set the pacing for the scene, and I try to play that on rehearsal to let the actors kind of get a feel of like, if it's like a 4/4 measure or 3/4 or 1/4, whatever, like, just for the pacing. So you really want to like, I love movies. I love stuff that just takes its time. It's gotta take its time. If it's too fast, it doesn't really sit well.
Now, mind you, this was a little tiny piece of film. You said 4 minutes, and you can see how much time he spent on each detail. And from an actor's point of view, although I really don't call myself an actor, it was really wonderful because it really gave me a sense of what I was supposed to be doing and what I was supposed to get out of it. Because I find when I'm actually acting, I disappear into the character, and so I don't really think much about it. So, and that's why his movies take quite a while to work out. Plus, he's busy doing other things like making a living.
I'm very fortunate. I work in movies as well, and IATSE.
And what have you just finished working? And what movie? What were you working on, or TV series?
Oh, I work mostly at Warner Brothers. I'm in the union, and I do lighting. So last few shows I've done is Perry Mason, Our Flag Means Death, Lucifer, and
Yeah, Lucifer we worked on for a long time.
Lucifer I did, I think 5 seasons or
yeah. I have to give you a plug, or I have to give the Perry Mason a plug, because the first season was fabulous, and the new season opens very soon, and it's really worth it. I don't know how many episodes, but it's just such a different take than we're used to with Perry Mason, and it really works wonderfully. So tune into that while you wait for Carl's movie to play at the local theater, which might hopefully be in Lone Pine.
So something else? Can I talk about something else?
No.
About my film?
Yes. Yes.
Well, Lone Pine has such a great history of if you go back to the old westerns, the 40s, 50s, 60s, you just have these beautiful towns, houses built, all these sets you go out and see. What was the movie with I've got 2 Oscars, or Spencer Tracy?
Oh,
Bad Day at Black Rock.
Yeah.
And all that stuff is gone now. So twice now, for my last movie, Dale Spoken Badge, and for this movie, Sheriff Johnson, we've actually, more so for this movie, but we built our own sets. So for this movie, Sheriff Johnson, my wife and I, and through Dusty Bamberg in Lone Pine, we're building a small exterior of a town, two exteriors of towns. We built from scratch. We're building the inside of the sheriff's office. Just take advantage of the community and the environment, and we just get to take these pieces out to the rocks, to set them in the rocks, and create another small town like they did back in the 50s and 60s, and we get to film our movie. And I can't thank my wife enough. She became not my wife, but she became my production designer, my art director, wardrobe, wrangler, food service.
She did, but she didn't do catering.
No, but she did food.
Who does the catering for you?
Michelle Green, wonderful, wonderful woman, does it. Lone Star Bistro.
Yeah. So yeah, give her a plug too. And the food's quite good.
Yeah.
Coffee's wonderful.
And just members of the community, like Melanie and John O'Dell, are letting us build a small town on their property.
And they are so excited about it.
And Gabe at Anchor Ranch is letting us film on his property, and Jody and Scott, for the Unspoken Badge, let us use their property. And so we've just had members of the community really welcome us and allow us to use their property.
Yeah, Owens Valley is very film friendly. And not every place is like that. That other town, Los Angeles, really gets kind of huffy if it interferes with their daily work.
Yeah.
Los Angeles is yucky. The most difficult part about filming a Lone Pine is that it's not difficult, or one thing. But the difficult part about it is just getting, it's 200 miles from Los Angeles, so getting, so much crew, so much cast to go 200 miles and come work on, an independent Western film. That's probably our biggest logistical hurdle that we go through. But to shoot in the Alabama Hills, LIDWP and BLM are both fantastic people to work with.
Yeah, they are.
Their rates are phenomenal. The setting is just so beautiful. It's so easy, and the community is very welcoming.
Yeah.
It's not only welcoming, but we embrace the community. We want to, when we come here, we like to really take advantage. Like, who can we hire from the community? Who can we support financially? Who can we get this from? Who can we get? Why do we bring this from LA? Why don't we get it from there?
Yeah, and it's a great resource for the town. After tourism and the DWP and a few other businesses and stuff, really filming brings in quite a bit of money. Uh, Year in and year out, they keep coming back. And I was worried that they would start replacing the rocks with digital copies of the rocks, but they say it's more fun and actually probably cheaper to come out here on location than to do it with a expensive computer for out. What is it like to work with your husband on these?
Well, I love it. I never thought this would be my life. I've never been around film until I met him, but he's so passionate about it, and he truly is an artist. When you read his scripts, it's like reading an artist's paintbrush strokes. The way he writes is just, it's like he's painting a canvas, which I think is a really unique way of writing. And I see him come alive in a way that it's amazing when you watch someone you love do what they love. And so it's been really fun to have these projects together, and it's tapped into my own creativity. I've always been someone that loves the creative process and loves being creative. And so it's fun to build sets and work on costume and wardrobe. It's challenging because it's a period piece. So to find some of the costumes or the pieces that we need to make it look authentic can be challenging. But I learn every day, and I'm inspired by him every day, and it's really fun. We have a lot of adventures with it.
So, Laura, you mentioned hurdles, and there have been several unusual ones, quite different. Each one is really quite different than the one before it. What are some of the hurdles that you and Carl have gritted your teeth?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're good. You make a positive out of almost everything. So
a few weeks before our initial film date, we had a flood you had a flood that washed out the road to some of our locations.
I think you're an official resident, official lone piner.
Yeah, we had a flood that washed out the road to the Alabama Hills, which is where a few locations are. A few weeks later, it would have been days before our initial film date, there was a fire at Anchor Ranch, which kind of wiped out our initial opening shot. And then just this week, we've had blizzard-like conditions, which has dumped quite a bit of snow and affected some of the locations. And so we've had to mold and adapt. Carl uses the analogy, we're treating it like Play-Doh, and we're just going to mold and adapt the film and the script and the locations to what we're able to access, and just go with the flow and be flexible.
Now, to be biblical for a second, the river didn't turn to blood, and the locusts haven't arrived.
We got that.
But we also, as I said in an email out to my cast the other day, I was using the analogy like going back to Charlie Chaplin and Max Sinna days. I was like, this is going to be a film where it might turn into that because we can't access vehicles in the snow area we need to drive into. So maybe we're just going to, in old school style of filmmaking, they just like pack up the car.
Yep.
They drive 30 minutes out of town. They jump out with the big sticks for the camera on it, run somewhere, set the shot. You say, okay, you want to go out there and go and shoot and be done and then get out of there. And
have you seen the Robert Downey, Charlie Chaplin?
that's been for a very long time.
Yeah, because they shot part of it doing that here in the Owens Valley.
Yeah.
And they're crossing into Nevada. It was the part of the plot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think, and like I said, the only real logistics is sometimes getting certain crew members. Like, it's really hard to find solid, camera ACs for shooting film. Luckily, I have a great DP, Saman. He's a very inspiring person to me. He makes great photography, and he found some great ACs he's bringing.
He shot the other two films.
What? I don't want.
He's actually my fourth DP out of all.
You wear them out?
It's just a progression. It just happened.
Yeah. The band lies.
Yeah.
So I said, get it in the can. Of course, that implies that you're using film. And in your case, you are using film. Why do you use film as opposed to, what do you call it, high def or digital?
HD video.
Yeah. Why film?
I think film just deserves the respect of the past. And I think it makes a beautiful image. It catches such respect on set when you're doing it. You can do so much stuff in the camera, just a few little settings, and you can manipulate them 100 different ways. You just capture such a beautiful, beautiful image. And I feel like, I know a lot of people can't shoot film nowadays, but I can't promise I can shoot film forever. But I do feel like nowadays there's that piece of conversation that's missing where people say, hey, do I shoot this in film or do I shoot this in HD? What's the best format to shoot on? That's gone. Now it's just, hey, it's just going to shoot HD. People still want to shoot film, but a lot of people can't because they can't afford it. Sure, it's a little more expensive here and there. But I just really think that it's respectful, especially the Westerns. All the old Westerns were just such crisp, such detailed shot, grungy feeling in a way sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. So anyone you want to mention before we sign off here? We're on digital, so.
Okay. We're going to talk about movies too, right?
Yeah, future projects.
Oh yes, that's what I'm leading into. What do you have up after you get this finished, or while you are finishing these 3 anthology films?
As an independent filmmaker, I promised my wife one thing. I said, since this is basically 98% self-financed, I said, well, we're going to get through this Sheriff Johnson first, pay it all off completely, and then I'll invest in my next movie. Ideally, someone else will invest in my movie. That's why we make movies. But we have a couple projects in line. Our friend Manuel Ruiz, he's a screenwriter, a good filmmaker as well. He's got a couple film noirs in the can we're going to help him work on as producer, as an actor. He's also helped me write a movie called A Lone Man and a Horse. It's really kind of like a Western film noir, but it's just one character in the Alabama Hills for a whole feature film.
Wow.
So we're really excited about that. And then my ultimate future goal as a filmmaker is I'd like to take the novels, the short stories of Raymond Chandler, and sort of mold those into the Westerns, shoot them, face it. I pretty much want to base everything I make out of the Alabama Hills. But
and we like that.
Yeah. But Raymond Chandler, he's my favorite author. And I'd love to take his genre of books and turn them into Western film noirs. Or like serial short stories, because we still have like episodic Westerns today, but I don't feel like we have the essence of the 30, 45-minute Western of the late 50s that you go home, you just watch every night. There's, oh, look at that, it's Rawhide, it's, Have Gun Will Travel, all those great Westerns.
Yeah. Have Gun Will Travel has really met the challenge of time. I think it's timeless almost now. It's really good.
That's what we need. We need more of that.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I'd just like to say, there's some people that, tons of people I could talk about that helped me, but one that's helped us on this film is his name is John Marshall. He's a production designer from Los Angeles. He's retired. He now teaches, but he's been around for a very long time. He's been a great insight to us, to Laura, for helping design like the interior of the sheriff's office, the exterior of the ranch we're building. So I want to say thank you to John. Thank you to James behind the camera. He's going to be at AD on my movie come this weekend, which we're shooting in Lone Pine this Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
We're letting you borrow him for us.
We're thankful.
We're scheduling. He's a big part of this operation, so we're scheduling around.
I can't thank people at Lone Pine enough for embracing us, especially you and Manuel for just embracing us, embracing our visions, and you're now a friend. So every time we come to Lone Pine, everybody here, our list gets bigger of people we contact. We're like, oh, we're in Lone Pine for the weekend. Oh.
So you have to make a big money-making movie, and then you can buy a house here. But you're going to have to plan on, because houses are really hard to come by because of Airbnbs. So
yeah, we love it.
And then we'll give you the key to the city, which is about this big. It's very small.
We're very grateful for this community and how much they have embraced us and become friends, like truly friends. And it seems with every new project we make more friends here, and we're grateful. It's our favorite place, special place to us.
And the town loves you guys, so come back again and again.
Well.
Even come back when you're not making a film. So it's a very different experience.
Yes.
So it's Chris Langley with Eye on Inyo Filmmaking, and we have Carl and Laura Flood here who are busy making films. So we really appreciate that.